All right, let me ask you this final question. What do you think the Niners need to do to win the Super Bowl next year? They're talking about how they're well positioned. You know, they got cap space. They just won 12 games. They got players coming back. George Kittle tore his Achilles, but he's going to try to make it back mid-season. I don't think they have enough. What do you think what would what would they have to add in one offseason to truly be in the conversation with Seattle and New England?
Okay, where they are now with the roster they have, they are further away next year than they were this year.
Wow.
I'm sorry
because
to
of the
say
aging
that.
of the stars.
Yeah, you look at
Yeah.
Bosa coming back off of a surgery again. Christian McCaffrey, he's older. He's another year older, another year more beat up, another year of rehabbing and trying to get healthy and revitalize his legs. He's basically, taken too many body shots as a running back, and he's lost the juice in his legs. He's not the same. And I think he's, 30 years old?
Yeah. Not okay. Even. Almost. 29.
Almost.
Yeah, he'll be 30
and then, you're looking at Kittle coming back from an Achilles. Juwan Jennings is not getting faster as he's getting older. He's going to want more money. And Ricky Pearsall, who knows if he's going to be healthy after the first series of a ball game, because, half the time you see him over in the blue tent on the sideline rather than playing on the field. To be honest, right now, I can't count on him. I'm not impressed with his durability and his availability. And then in the defensive section, they need a linebacker. They need another outside edge rusher. Huff, what did he give you this year?
Nothing. Everyone said, "Oh, he was such a bad fit in Philly, man. Philly didn't know what they had. They couldn't use. Wait till he gets with the." He did the same thing. He did the same thing.
See, so they need a player. They need a starter over there. Okay.
Yep.
And a
starting defensive end, a starting weak side linebacker, maybe a starting strong side linebacker, maybe a starting free safety. So at least 3 starters on defense, two wide receivers.
And they have running backs on the roster, but for some reason Kyle can't get him onto the field.
Yeah,
he's so married to McCaffrey that he's going to run him until the guy drops, and they have to bring a come along out there on the field and haul him off.
Well, his dad did do the same thing to Terrell Davis.
I know that's kind of the Shanahan way.
Yeah.
And then now here's another one that's going to probably shock you. I think it's time to say, Kyle, use check your buddy, 44. Sayonara, Sam. You've been great. You've made all these Pro Bowls because, you're only one of 2 fullbacks in the whole league behind the Baltimore Ravens guy. But we've got to move on from there. So I've got to say adios, muchacha, and go get someone else, either a tight end who can be an H-back, swing back between a fullback and a movement tight end as my fullback guy. But
would you sign Kyle Pitts, free agent?
See, I like Kyle Pitts.
Me too.
I liked him when he came out. I mean, he has downfield ability as a tight end.
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
He can't block like Kittle. Let's be honest now. So he's in a different vein. It's hard to put him as an inline tight end like Kittle and think you're going to run outside zone to his side and all that. So,
but if you turn into a 12 personnel team, you could have him as on the backside of an outside zone play, and you could have him be, a factor, a starter. Especially if we're getting rid of use check.
Well, and then you're going to use Tonjes as what, your third tight end?
Yeah.
I would try to take Tonjes and make him more of the Kittle guy.
This is the thing. Instead of going after Jordan Addison, who has an arrest record and is going to be expensive, and wide receivers are just a headache anyway, why not do what the Rams are doing and just invest in tight ends? They're cheaper. They're not divas. I'm just saying.
And
tight ends.
Kyle claims that he's a run-first guy. So
apparently,
if you're running 13 personnel, then that's the perfect fit you want. Think of your play.
Yeah.
Look, I go back to Matt Stafford's stats. when he's running non-13 personnel, I hate to say it, kind of mediocre. But you put
Yeah.
13 personnel on the field for him, all of a sudden his quarterback rating goes up to 113, 110. His touchdowns go through the roof. His completion percentage is up into the high 70s.
Yeah.
His play action passing game is so much better. He doesn't move well, but you can still do some bootlegs and things with him with 13 personnel. Think about what Brock would look like running 13 personnel with the play action, plus throwing the bootlegs and the nakeds and the waggle actions and all that with him outside on the perimeter, away from the defensive front where they can't just tee off on him at where he sets up at 7 or 9 yards in the pocket.
I feel like one of the ways that the Seahawks have shut down Kyle Shanahan's offense is Shanahan wants you to match up personnel. Like he's in base. There's use check, so you're going to be in base, and then he can play action you and move your linebackers around. But the Seahawks don't use base defense. They use nickel defense. They're a 4-2-5, a 4-1-6. They got way more speed than the Niners, and they can stop the run.
That's your point.
So,
They've got
right?
more speed on the field than the Niners have to attack
Yes.
them. And the Niners' lack of speed can't beat the Seahawks' speed.
Because it's not like they're physically imposing either. They're also getting beat in the trenches.
If you go back and look at a couple of the patterns that were being run the other day, the Niners had a tight end running a crossing route, but there was a defensive back, not a linebacker, covering the tight end, and he was able to undercut the ball because his speed compensated and was able to overcome the separation the tight end initially created. And see, that 4-2-5 scheme or the 4-1-6 scheme puts better athletes on the field than what you have in 21 personnel. So you're going to struggle. Plus, the multiple defensive back schemes, Grant, are going to allow combination coverages to show up to cover your 21 personnel that you normally would not see if Seattle was playing a base scheme as opposed to a sub defense against your base offense.
And this is why I like Sean McVay so much. I feel like he's so smart in his counters. So, okay, you want to play nickel all the time. You want to be in this light defense because you think you can get away with it. Well, instead of playing into that, why don't we go heavy personnel? We're not going 12. We're going freaking 13. We're taking one of the wide receivers off the field. And if you want to keep all those DBs out there, we'll run it down your freaking throat. And I bet those DBs will overreact to the run and we'll be able to play action. And I think it's really smart. And I'm surprised that Kyle Shanahan hasn't made the same adjustment yet. You got to face this team. You got no answers. You face them 3 times.
Kyle is wedded to his scheme. I'm sorry to say this. He's not wedded to football. He's wedded to his offensive scheme.
Really
There's a difference.
Yep.
McVay is a football coach. Kyle is a scheme coach. Yep. Kyle knows his system. He knows his scheme. But then when the opponent counters with something contrary to what Kyle's used to having his scheme face, Kyle doesn't have an answer because he's not a football guy. He's a scheme guy.
What I don't understand about the use check thing, it's like not to pile on one guy, but why do you use him so much? I mean, you can't run the ball. You're 30th in yards per carry. Whatever blocking he gives you isn't springing the running game. And as a receiver, he'll give you a catch or two a game. Sometimes he'll get down the field, but I don't see much of an advantage for the offense schematically, personnel-wise. Seems like you'd be better off using multiple tight ends or multiple wide receivers, anything else.
Well, interestingly enough, one of the NFC personnel gurus, told me basically the problem with the Niners, as he saw it when he was evaluating them going into the playoffs, is he said they don't have enough explosiveness in their offensive personnel, as he said, to make me or my team's defense have a sleepless night.
Yes, exactly what Steve Young said on the radio. He's like, who are you? Who is the defense worried about from Wednesday to Sunday? Like, oh my God, Ricky Pearsall, he's way faster than you realize when you get it. It's like, there's no one.
See, there's
no one. Who's scared of Jawan Jennings?
Yeah, nobody.
Who's scared of Christian McCaffrey right now?
The bottom line is that puts more pressure on Kyle because he's going to have to find ways to, create plays rather than have players
Right.
who can make plays with their talent. And see,
And that's where you see like the wide receiver throwing a pass or the double reverse flea flicker. Like, okay, we just don't have the talent. We're gonna have to trick you.
we've made this comment multiple times. Kyle looks at offense as a game of plays rather than a game of players.
Yours.
And
Yep.
he does not have the players because he thinks that his plays will win in the end. But the league has caught up to his scheme.
Yep.
They now know how to defense his scheme. So therefore, his scheme can't win for him. And he doesn't have the players who can outplay the opponents. And
And
so
he
he's
keeps
losing.
playing the old guys in their 30s who know his scheme rather than playing young guys who have speed that he would have to develop. Because, I mean, isn't this the same thing that happened with John Gruden at the end with Tampa? Like, he had an offense and it was pretty good. And then he held on to it and held on to it and held on to it and it never evolved. It got steadily worse. And then he got fired.
Well, Al at one time calls me on the phone and we're shooting the breeze and he wants me to talk with Gruden and all that. He says, God, please talk to him about getting the ball down the field. He says, I built the guy a multi-million-dollar practice facility in El Segundo. We got the best grass in the country out there. And he's throwing passes in his pass offense that I could throw in my backyard in Piedmont.
Yeah.
And Al says,
Yeah.
my God, he's got 200 ways to throw the ball 5 yards down the field. That's his pass offense.
Yes,
You
it is.
can't win doing that.
Yes, it is. And it seems like now Kyle Shanahan's pass offense is just 200 ways to throw the ball to Christian McCaffrey. And you know what? That's not scaring anyone. Again, as Steve, I love listening to Steve. And Steve said the offense cannot be the Christian McCaffrey show anymore. Can't be that.
Exactly. That's true.
Yeah.
We said
So
that
good for
earlier
Steve.
this year.
Yeah.
And we made a point where I came out and said that the problem with Kyle is that he keeps Christian in the game for so long. He's padding all of his stats to be able to give you the mythical feeling that this guy really is a significant contributor. But his average per play, as I told you before, in 2023, he was averaging 5.4 yards a play.
Yes.
In 2025, it dropped down to 3.2.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a big drop.
Yeah.
To go from
Absolutely.
5.4 to 3.2.
Oof. Yeah.
See,
That's not good.
No. And so you have to begin to look at the fact that's like he may be on the field longer, but the guy's running with combat boots on as opposed to, cleats.
At the end of
Because
the season, on locker room clear out day, we were asking him about like all the touches he had, and he was like, it's not my job to want to come out of the game. I'm supposed to want to be in there, but like if they wanted to get another running back, that would be great. I mean, it's kind of sound like, hey, why are you asking me to request to come out of the game? Like if they ask me to come out, I'll come out. Like it's on them, and I had to agree with him on that.
It's true. It is.
It's true.
Kyle
it's not his job to say,
well.
Coach, I think the offense would be better without me today. Like you can't ever say that.
No.
No.
But Kyle's got to come up with the rotation. And during the week, they've got to plan it. They've got to use it in practice. They've got to talk about it in the staff room and in the running back room. They've got to say, okay, here's what we're doing. Here's how we're divided up. You're going to get the first 6 or 7 plays. Then we're going to put in another running back for 4 or 5 plays or for another series. We're going to substitute in the middle of a series when it comes to a certain run or a certain pass. You've got to be ready to transition to be able to put in other players. You can't leave. How many running backs in the league had anywhere close to the number of touches, pass and run that Christian had?
It was irresponsible. And there's running backs who are younger with more vitality and frankly better that teams were like, no, we're not going to. That's just ridiculous. We're not going to do that.
You can't.
No.
The old theory is that if you want him to win the run for the roses on Saturday in the Kentucky Derby, you can't run him like a nag during the week. And see, as your season goes along, you keep running CMC on pass routes, on runs, and eventually by the end of the season, his legs are gone. His legs are shot. His legs are tired. He's fatigued. He's worn down. He's beat up. And he doesn't have the burst and the acceleration and the explosion anymore.
Now, people at home, if you don't know who Tom Walsh is, if you're a little young, he was the offensive coordinator for the Raiders in the 80s when they were winning Super Bowl. I mean, he coached Marcus Allen, Hall of Fame running back, who could do a lot of what Christian did. And from the Raiders' perspective, it was like, what a blessing to have Marcus Allen. But you know what? It's not enough. We got to go get Bo Jackson too. And you guys found a way to have them both on the field together or complementing each other. It was like, hey, Marcus, thank you so much. You're going to the Hall of Fame, but now it's time for you to get off the field because Bo's here. And it's like, why wouldn't the 49ers want another guy? You guys made it work.
You have to sit down though, and you have to, lay out a plan. It's like the hardest part that we had, to be honest, we had one ball and we had five guys on offense we had James Lofton, we had Willie Galt, we had Tim Brown, we had Todd Christensen, we had Marcus Allen, we had Bo Jackson, we had Mervin Fernandez, we had James Jett. I mean, you got only one ball.
Could you tell the story of when Mike Shanahan became the head coach and he was watching film and he started watching Marcus and he was watching him catch passes and what he said and what out? Because I feel like that's kind of, I mean, Christian just caught 90 passes this year. So could you tell that story, please?
Okay.
Okay.
This is true. This is
okay.
We're upstairs in El Segundo in the big meeting area. We're all there as a whole staff, scouts and everybody. We're watching tape. Mike has just been hired as the head coach. Al's sitting there we're running the projector and all that, and we're watching film, and he's watching the tape, and he's watching Marcus run a route here, run a route there, run the ball here. He goes, this guy could catch over 100 balls a year. He's fantastic. He's great. And Al stops the projector. He says, let me tell you something. He says, if that guy's catching over 100 balls a year, we're not winning any Super Bowls because you cannot have your running back be the feature of your offense. He cannot catch 100 balls coming out of the backfield. Okay. I mean, the guy's starting 5 yards deep in the backfield or 7.5 yards deep from the backfield, or you're using skip motion or float motion and all this other fancy but the guy is still behind the line of scrimmage. He says, if you think he's going to catch 105, 106 balls a season, we're not going to win any Super Bowls with that guy catching that many balls.
Tom, Christian had 102 catches this year. The next highest, the number 2 guy in the Niners, Kittle with 57. 102 for Christian McCaffrey. So Kyle did what Mike Shanahan wanted to do with Marcus Allen in 1987, but Al Davis wouldn't let him.
Well, I'm sorry, but it's true. I tell you, as great as Cliff Branch was, as great as Freddie Bolitnikoff was, as great as Dave Casper was, all of them were Hall of Fame players. You had to be able to spread out the ball. You had to distribute the ball, and you had to so you had multiple weapons. You could not be a one-trick pony and have only one guy be the guy offensively. Even when Bo was healthy, we spelled Bo. There are games, I swear to God, there are games that we could have had Bo run for over 300 yards. There were games we took him out, and he was running 98 yards, 89 yards. Go watch the Bo Jackson highlight tape. I swear to God, that guy he could have blown every running back record out of the water. But what people don't realize, Bo played baseball. Bo was never at minicamp. Bo was never at training camp. Bo missed the first 6 or 7 games of the season because they were still playing baseball. And then he would come in on a Monday or Tuesday. He'd be dressed in pads on Wednesday, be playing on Sunday. He didn't take any time off, but he missed 6 or 7 games. He never knew the whole offense because he was never around for the whole offense. So he learned the game plan from week to week, but he never had exposure to the whole playbook because he was never there. So, I mean, you can't just run them to run them. As much as I love Marcus, I love Bo. My God, those guys were phenomenal. I mean, Grant, you don't know what it's like to be there watching those guys and be on the sideline. Our defensive squad, when Bo was in the game, they would be up on the sideline watching Bo run.
Yeah, an alien.
And, Howie Long one time made a comment. He says, when the guy runs by you up the sideline, it's like an 18-wheeler going by you on the highway, and you're driving with your little Prius next to him, and you get whipsawed because of the drag and the draft of Bo running by you.
Wow.
I tell you what, seriously, it is a gift to be able to coach that kind of talent. It's
Yeah.
it's you can't believe what it's unbelievable what
And
those athletes, how gifted, how talented, and how coachable they are. I go up to
And
Bo.
I would imagine that Kyle has deep affection for his, Hall of Fame players because he helped develop them and they helped make him who he is. But at a certain point, even the Raiders said goodbye to Marcus. He finished his career in Kansas City. Like, you can't be overly sentimental.
It's a business.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, that's the other thing you got to realize. And Bill Walsh always had made the point that you had to understand he probably was better friends with a lot of the players after he had released them or after he had traded them than when he was coaching them when they were playing for him. And you have to have that levels of structure and striation in your between the coach and the player, regardless of how friendly you are with them, how conversant you are with them, but there still is a coach player relationship. It can never be on the same plane. There's always a difference in level of coach
Yeah.
and player.
It feels like certain players in this team have sort of become on the same level as the coach, and that's kind of a problem.